Stephen's first section is going to be through the side panel, where he's creating that shorter disconnected length and shape, where he's taking a judgment on the length that he wants to cut it to, and then elevating it up maximum elevation, allowing it to fall to see where it's going to be on the side of the face, and then choosing his point of reference where the elevation is to where it falls on the face. The reason why he's working with elevation to create the length is because he does want these side panels to not only have a quite strong outline in terms of the visible shape, but also a soft perimeter and internal shape. He's simply now going to be working horizontal sections underneath the original, working down the head shape and elevating everything up into the section that he's cut. So nothing will be surpassing that length that he's elevated that first section to. At this moment in time, he's working with quite strong tension and working with the small teeth of the comb for lots of elevation, lots of control and lots of tension. And he's now going to be placing the cutting line through the external shape where he wants to see that weight line sitting on the curvature of the face. Generally speaking, he's going to be working just above the jawline area and below the cheekbone area for this certain look. You do also want to take into consideration when you're refining the line and haircut that you may want to change the line in terms of length or shape or density and texture when it is dry. So leave yourself a little bit more room and don't take it to the exact point that you want to see it at the end of the haircut, but more so leave yourself some room to play around with that line. If you were to take it too short now, it would leave you very little room to play around with once the hair is dried and you've seen it sitting on the face. Once you've reached that central middle parting that you've placed in the head, you can then go around to the other side, stand from behind, lift up the opposite side and cut to the length that the opposite side that you've previously cut has been cut to. And this gives you a really good indication to get that balance perfect on that first initial section that you're elevating up and cutting from the opposite side of the head. What you want to do now is continue cutting up that head in horizontal panels, working down the head shape until you reach the bottom. Just the same process as what you did on the first side. Stephen's moving on to the roundness of the head where the coronal area sits at the crown, right up into the top of the apex, and he's going to be working pivot sections from the center, pivoting out to the corner of the head, creating a square flat shape right through the top. As he works down the cutting line on the vertical axes, we can see that everything is getting over directed up into the top, into that square shape that he's cutting through. Now that first side has been completed, Stephen's going to let the hair down and see how it sits with that front disconnected panel, and he's just going to be working a little bit of visual slicing technique, which is going to allow him to soften out that line and blend it into the back disconnected area a slight bit more. Really what he's doing here is to aggressively texturize that middle to the end area of the disconnected panel to just create some more gaps and holes throughout that area. We can see that Stephen's working now with the flat brush, which is going to allow Stephen to create more of a flatter finish through the sides where the disconnected shorter panels are laying. This is because Stephen doesn't want too much volume working through the front there. He just wants a very smooth flat finish. If you want to increase the texture quite a lot, you can work with the razor again in this way, where you're elevating out vertical sections from the mid-length through to the end of that panel, and you're working with the razor like a pen, where you're just working with the tip of the razor and you're very subtly just slicing through with the tip of the razor through the mid-lengths, and that will give it a lot more breakage and a lot more of a softer finish through the perimeter. We can see that the perimeter line itself is still in the same place as where he cut it, but we can now start to see a lot more skin coming through the perimeter line itself, as Stephen's been working very carefully and cautiously through the edge to create more of a graphic finish. He's now playing around with some texturizing and density removal through the mid-lengths of the hair, which is again to take away density through that area to give it that really nice flat look. Now the personalization with the tools has been done, where we've used the thinning shears, the normal shears, and also the razor to create different types of texture and movement throughout different areas of the haircut. We can see how that color through the side really pops out and blends through with the cut, which has worked beautifully for Stephen's design here on the haircut. And we can see the shorter, more disconnected panels are sitting absolutely perfectly on the corner of the cheek area, where it really frames the face, creates the visual disconnection, but works very well with the client at all times. Thanks for watching this longer length creative haircutting tutorial done by global educator Stephen Bazazzi. We hope to see you on the next collection video.